So, are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Anyways, Neil, I have
Yeah.
very, very good news for you.
What's that?
The BK Stacker has officially returned.
The stacker? Is that like the guy at the supermarket that stocks the shelves?
No, it's that fucking delicious double to quad cheeseburger that has the cheese in between each patty with the fucking bacon all over it and the special sauce that's nothing but Thousand Island dressing mixed with ketchup and mustard.
What the hell? Oh, the like the Big Mac sauce then, right?
Yep.
That's-
Except, 10 times better tasting because it isn't shit Donald's. It's actually made at the fucking King restaurant.
Shit, Donald's. That's pretty good.
I also like to call it the meaning of life burger.
The meaning of life? No, that's not the meaning of life. The meaning of life is what this episode is about. That's what we're going to talk about on this episode of the Cynic Show. It's going to be about the meaning of life. So,
Which is also known as my cock.
your cock's the meaning of life? Or is that the meaning of
Yes.
life? Or is that what you tell all the women that come over to your house?
I tell all the women that come over to my house that they're about to find the meaning of life.
Does it glow gold for their eyes? Or does it look like a shriveled up prune?
It's more like a shriveled up prune, but it gets them awfully excited. And then once they're all excited and shit, they feel too bad to not let me do anything.
Really? You ever gotten
Yeah.
laughed at? I just want to know because
You know,
I
I-
got laughed at last Friday night.
No, I've never gotten laughed at.
Huh. That was a new experience for me, so I got this.
See,
Oh, go
what
ahead.
you probably did wrong is you went in there and you probably were all self-conscious about it and you pulled it out. And you were just kind of like a sad little puppy, and then they saw it and then they just fed off your vibes and they were like, oh, ha 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 ha, it's so small. Whereas I just was like, yo bitch, this is the meaning of life. And acted like I had the golden fucking cock. And
No.
then women can't tell the fucking size difference. They're just gonna think that it's big if you act like it's big.
No, I'll
All you
tell
gotta
you
do is
what
be like,
happened,
yeah, this
alright?
is 9 inches.
Let me tell you what happened. So I meet this prostitute online, right? And I tell her to meet me at this bar, right? So everything's going good. I roll up to her in the old Rascal, and I say, "Okay, baby, let's go back to my house." She's like, "Okay." So we get back to my house, right? And I get naked. I'm still on the Rascal, mind you. And I say, "So you're gonna let me get a free sample, right?" And that's when I got laughed at. And then, that
Well,
just
she wasn't laughing at your member. She was laughing at the fact that you were expecting a free sample.
destroyed my self-confidence. I had to kick her out. I had to call Kyle. It was a fucking mess.
How much did she cost?
$50.
See, that's where you went wrong. You have to go 100 and up. That way they won't be mean to you.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Advice from a professional, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, meaning of life. So, people always ask me, they say, "Neil, what's the meaning of life?" And I say, well, you're not ready for this. You're not ready for this level of cynicism, but it's coming at you right now, Internet. So I'm going to tell you the meaning of life. There's a Christian meaning, and then there's the fucked up conservative meaning that they don't realize this is why they spread this shit. Christian meaning is you do everything for God, right? You serve God. The Bible says you serve God. You help your fellow neighbor out. But I mean,
Wants to live their life as a servant.
Hey, I don't know. Apparently,
Especially to a guy that you never get to meet. I mean, at least when you go to be a servant someplace, like at a restaurant or something, you get to meet the owner sometime. But I mean, they're talking about a guy that lives in the fucking clouds. How superior do you have to be in order to look down at your servants and be like, oh, I'm never even going to look at you?
or help you out.
Yeah.
Where was that winning lottery ticket when you were $50,000 in debt? Or
From all the gambling addiction that you were born with, obviously, because it's a disease, right?
right, it's always a disease. It's always in your brain. It's never a problem of self-choice. which we're going to talk more about that later
Has
in the
nothing to
second
do with
follow-up to this
self-control.
video. Self-control is going to be talked about a lot in the follow-up to this video, which I'm sure we're going to get a lot of hate mail for. But this stuff needs to be said. And if you got friends like this, you need to show them these videos. So anyhow, Christian meaning of life is serve God, but it's all bullshit, because that comes from the conservatives. So the actual meaning of life is humanity needs workers. We need slaves. You know, Rome was not built by well-paid individuals. It was built on the backs of slaves. We need people to drag around those big-ass stones and, you know, put up those gay monuments of people with their cocks out. You know, it's just...
Yeah.
It's a fucked up system, but it's the way it works. It's the way the world functions around here. You know, so corporate slavery, you know, in order, you know, it reminds me a lot of this anime called Berserk, right? So in order for Griffith in the show, spoiler alert by the way, if you don't want to listen to this, you know, I'm sorry.
Or if you're an idiot and you haven't watched any of the Golden Age and you just started watching the new fucking series, which picks up after the Golden Age.
Yeah.
Seriously, people, there's 3 movies you can watch to get caught up on it. You don't even need to watch the, 30-episode anime.
But you should.
You should. But you don't have to get the fucking main story. You can just watch those movies. Takes about 2.5 hours, you're done. You're all caught up. You don't have to ask people on forums about what the fuck is going on every 5 seconds.
What happened, bro? No, but anyhow, so it's like in Berserk, you know, Griffith had to sacrifice his friends so that he could rise to power. You know, he had everything taken from him because, you know, he was a fucking idiot.
Because he was a dick.
And a dick to his followers. But anyhow, he had to sacrifice these people to rise up to power. And I feel like that's what our corporate world's doing. You know, they build their empires on our backs. You know, everybody that isn't self-employed and smart enough to go into business for themselves, you know, they spend their time serving. And I feel like that was what that meant in Berserk. That was like a metaphor for our lives.
Yep.
You know, we sit here and we work these meaningless jobs. And even people that go to college, that's what people don't realize about college, is you can go to college for whatever you want. But if you're not self-employed, you're still spending your life working, making money for somebody else.
You're still just another step on that fucking... towards that ultimate goal of your boss.
Yeah, exactly. That's... Berserk really nailed it when they talked about that. I mean, for some reason that just spoke
just
to me.
another corpse on a pile.
Yep. And if you don't have the will to step over those corpses, then it's your job to lay down another corpse. You know what I'm saying? But that's
why they want you to find somebody to replace you when you get ready to quit.
Yep, and that's why they also want you to train your own replacement.
Yep.
But anyhow, see, we have a gift here, you know? I mean, most people don't see it this way, but mankind may be the first intelligent life in the universe. I'm not saying I'm just saying it's possible. I'm not, you know, no disrespect to any aliens.
Possible.
Yeah, it has a small chance of being possible, and you know, if we can get out into the universe quick enough, we can take it over before the other aliens start to, you know, so we don't have to fight them. You know what I'm saying?
We can find all those different alien species while they're still primitive and then have sex with them.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Pretty much. So everybody has to do their part, and that's the meaning of life. That's why, you know, these conservatives, they want you to have all these kids so that, you know, your kids will make these probably about the same amount of life choices that you made that went wrong. You know, I'm not saying all of you are idiots, but, you know, let's face it. As far as humans go, we make some pretty fucked up life choices.
The majority of us are complete fucking idiots, and the majority of us are basically fucked.
Yep. It's like there's too many people at the top weighing down people at the bottom. Like, people that are in charge that shouldn't be in charge. You ever notice that? Whenever you're working, like, some shitty job, they're just, you know, people, like, how... I don't understand how they function. There's this light outside my house, right? and I'm driving in my car. And if you don't know anything about traffic lights, there's a little coil down in the road, and you have to be under that coil if you want the light to change. So these fucking idiots, they'll pull forward too far, and then the light won't change. So the light doesn't change until I get there, and I pull up on that coil, and I'm like, what do you people do when I'm not here? How do you function? How do you people function in life? It just doesn't make sense to me. I just don't get it. I don't know. You got anything you want to add to this? You got any good stories?
I thought you had a story that you were gonna tell.
Yeah, that's in part 2.
Oh, all right.
Part 2. My famous stories from back when I was in the old grocery store days.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to it. I mean, you pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's it for this. Oh wait, sorry.
It's not a difficult concept to grasp. Basically, you're bred to fucking do work. You're basically a horse.
Yep. And all that shit about you being a movie star. I mean,
we're just a bunch of ants in the fucking
pretty
ant
much.
Nest.
You have to be really lucky.
Fucking bee in the beehive. It's gonna be that 1%er that's basically pulling all the strings and getting all the shit. Then everybody else just works under him.
And if you don't believe me, I want you to sit there and I want you to think about all the 1%ers you know in life. How many 1%ers do you know?
I want you to sit there, if you don't believe this is true, and think about all the people that are actually intelligent that are at the bottom of the goddamn corporate ladder in their jobs. And then think about the retards that get put, like raises and stuff and more responsibility ahead of them.
Yeah, or especially those people that have been there twice as long. You've been there twice as long as some of these fucks. And they're making...
all of a sudden somebody's fucking nephew decides to show up and work there, and he's suddenly a manager within 2 weeks.
Yep. It's just like that.
Doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Goddamn ordering things that the store doesn't even need. Didn't you have somebody that was doing that when you were working at the grocery store?
We had a supervisor that ordered us under several times. You know, one day back from vacation, and this guy, he had more work than me and my buddy could do in 2 days. I don't understand it. You have nobody to put this shit out, and yet you fucks keep ordering it. It makes no sense.
Yep. When I was working at the wood factory, the goddamn guy that was in charge of getting the contracts and stuff, he would put all these fucking, like, dates up for when he was going to get these orders done. And we had about, I want to say, 20 people working in this fucking factory. And they just had, like, multiple projects going, and they did it every year, and they would be behind. Insanely behind, and everybody would end up working like 52-hour weeks in order to try to get this shit out, getting screamed at the entire time that we weren't going fast enough when everybody's fucking going at like top speed and getting hurt and everything else trying to keep up.
I got a friend who works construction, and he says he builds like parts for houses like out of wood, you know, and he says that he works 60-hour weeks just to get caught up because they understaff his place. And nobody knows what they're doing there. It's a real shame.
Yep.
Doesn't make any fucking sense.
It isn't necessarily that they're understaffed. It's just that somebody's fucking promising more than they can deliver.
Yep. They'll give them their paycheck a day early.
Those guys in the office, they don't fucking know what the hell's going on. You think those fuckers are going to pick up a saw or something or a goddamn hammer and know how long it takes to build something? No, they just sit there and go, not fast enough, go harder, what are we paying you $9 an hour for?
Yep, they actually have a time that it says that it takes them to build these fucking items.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
That time is probably done by the best fucking person that works.
Oh yeah, if you're not building that in 5 minutes, you're fired.
Early in the morning, like when he's first starting out, not after he's freaking fatigued from working for the first 3 hours. Because I mean, those first few hours when you get there in the day, you're all full of energy and shit. You start busting shit out. By the end of the day, you're ready to fucking die.
Oh yeah, especially if you're working 10, 12-hour days.
That speed is not going to be kept up all fucking day, every day for a 60-hour week. That shit's nuts.
No, you'd have to be like a fucking mule. Which, I mean, that's what you're bred for, so I guess.
Fuck, dude, a mule would take a nap in the middle of that shit if somebody did that.
Oh yeah, you're right.
People People that have horses and shit know enough that they have to stop after a while.
Gotta stop, gotta eat, gotta get some sleep. I honestly think if they ever perfect genetically engineering humans, I think they're gonna do away with sleep, and they're gonna lower our intelligence by a good 80%.
Yep.
And that's actually a popular concept in sci-fi. You know, you got these advanced societies that they breed these, you know, they genetically engineer their workers and they make them stupid as fuck.
You know what they're going to do, too? They're probably going to, instead of having, like, your normal public school or whatever, they're probably going to just take the kids and they're going to just put them into specialty training right off the bat for what they're going to have them do.
Oh, yeah, like trade school or like sweatshops?
Yep. They're gonna have like a trade school, but it's gonna be for one individual thing that they can underpay the shit out of them for, and that's gonna be all they know. They aren't gonna need math, so they're not gonna fucking ever learn math. It's just gonna be like, today you're going to be using a drill press all day, every day.
Tap those threads, son. But I'm only 6 years old. I
the kid will be able
care.
to fucking make adjustments on the fly faster than anyone you've ever seen in your fucking life, but he won't be able to speak a fucking single word.
Yeah.
The only words he's gonna know are yes, sir, no, sir.
Affirmative.
Actually, though, they won't even teach him no, sir. They're just gonna teach him yes, sir, because nobody wants to fucking hear their employee say no.
Affirmative and negative.
And the way you communicate with them isn't with words. It's gonna be with, like, threats of abuse.
They just have a board. They have one of those, like, boards that you get at the football game, right? They're going to put it up in the factory. That's just how they're going to dish out their orders. Or like in the movie Dodgeball, where Ben Stiller...
They're going to make an example out of somebody, and they're just going to go down there with, like, a spiked baseball bat and beat the shit out of one of them. Keep them all in line.
I was thinking of the movie Dodgeball with Ben Stiller, where it's like his first... It's like in his gym, he's got that video where he's sitting there, he's like, "You call that a crunch?" And he's in his office just fucking around on his computer.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think that's about it for this topic.
Okay, join us for part 2, which is called The World Needs Idiots. That's an interesting topic. We'll see you next time. This has been The Cynic Show.